People diagnosed with cancer and their caregivers and families need solid, reliable information, and they need support. The Bagot Bag was created to help patients and their families from the day of diagnosis and beyond, through all phases of survivorship.
When Beth was first diagnosed, we had no idea where to go, who to ask, what to ask, how much to ask, what we needed to know, what we didn't need to know. It was nice to have an all-inclusive bag that gave us all of the information that we needed to kind of progress towards finding out what the next stages were that Beth was going to be going through.
When a patient is given a Bagot Bag by their provider, it lets them know they're part of their healthcare team and gives them a place to start when they are overwhelmed. Having this reliable resource you can confidently give to your patients and their families goes far to promote self-advocacy, improves patient engagement and satisfaction, and will save you so much time.
As an oncology nurse, when we are dealing with our patients, they don't necessarily understand everything that we say.
I think what's great about Bagot is because it has so much information in it, that we are relying on patients and their families to do so much both monitoring and care at home. There might be things that they can do at home that can prevent issues. Simple solutions that are addressed in the Bagot system and in the book that you can review with patients. And I'll have patients that when they come in, they say, I looked at it again and I was able to do that, and then I felt so much better after a couple days.
You might be wondering who gets a Bagot Bag. Actually, anyone with any type or stage of cancer, including those with chronic, recurrent, or advanced cancers, can benefit from receiving a bag. It's helpful for anyone receiving any type of cancer treatment: surgery, radiation therapy, immunotherapy, infused chemotherapy, and especially those receiving oral therapies, since those patients typically have fewer office visits.
So I think it's important to have the Bagot and to use it because it's going to be a good resource for every patient. So not just the infusional chemotherapy patients, but I actually give it out to patients that are seeing me for supportive care for radiation that maybe aren't getting any kind of chemotherapy, and for patients that are doing orals, which is really where chemotherapy is going.
Best practice is to give your patient a bag as early as possible, ideally at the time of diagnosis. As you know, there is a lot they need to take in and process, usually in a short period of time. The tips and information in the booklets can be invaluable as your patient and their loved ones are coping with the news and trying to prepare for next steps.
Learning what everyone's role was to be in the next few years was kind of difficult to navigate. Had we not had that asset to help educate us at the time, I don't know that we would have found as much information as we needed without having something that was so specific and well put together.
Please know that a patient is not likely to use their bag if it's handed to them without being opened up or without any introduction. You can keep your overview brief by pointing out one or two parts you feel will be especially helpful to them today. Let them know there's a page inside the front cover of my companion guidebook called Start Here. Plus, there's a short video on our website called How to Make the Most of Your Bagot Bag with more tips. You can refer to the Quick Start Guide when you give someone a bag. There's a short version and a longer one for a more detailed introduction. If you have more time, or if a patient asks you to go through the bag in more depth, please do so.
I've been an oncology nurse for 5 years, and I find it still difficult for me to break the ice with newly diagnosed patients, so I use the Bagot as kind of an icebreaker.
The cornerstone of the easy-to-use Bagot Bag is my companion guidebook, a navigation binder you individualize with each patient's information and present to them to make it their own.
I start at the very beginning and show them the business card holder. I already have one of my cards placed in there. Then I go on and show them places where they can log different things through their cancer journey. For example, if they're going to be getting chemotherapy, they can keep a list of the side effects. How many days after their treatment did they start to feel symptoms that go along with the particular treatment that they received?
Each divided section has instructions on how to use that section. There are designated places to write down their questions and answers for the healthcare team, and plenty of notebook paper is included. Be sure to give patients copies of their latest labs, scans, and other reports at each visit. We recommend that you preload and personalize the navigation binder for each patient before you present the bag to them. Add details about their cancer diagnosis, treatment plan, reports, schedules, drug information, and other pertinent details and resources. Then continue to give patients copies of their labs, scans, and other reports at each visit. If these reports are available in the patient portal, let them know where and how to access them on their own. There's also a handy log in Section 3 where they can record their patient portal details. Section 5, Resources, lists helpful organizations providing reliable cancer information and support of every kind, including financial assistance for medical and non-medical expenses. There's also a glossary of common cancer words. Back of the guidebook is the booklet called Paths to Survivorship. It's a comprehensive guide from diagnosis and beyond. The information was compiled from 6 highly respected national cancer organizations to navigate a new cancer diagnosis, cope with treatment, survivorship and follow-up care, and to help manage other aspects of life affected by cancer.
Being able to open a book and say, oh my gosh, somebody has already been through this and is willing to tell me, here is the best way to approach this.
Encourage patients to bring their binder to every appointment, or at least the relevant pages, along with their questions. Patients can further customize it using the many options and features to store and track their medical information. Know that most people will not use everything. Encourage them to use what works for them now. They may find other parts more helpful later, so remind them to pull out the booklets again as their needs and questions change over time. And also consider providing the bag to the caregiver or a family member instead. Inside the plastic pouch are 3 more booklets. From the National Cancer Institute, Caring for the Caregiver is for family members and friends giving care to a person with cancer. Share this with the person accompanying the patient. From the American Institute of Cancer Research is Cancer Resource, Living Well with Cancer and Beyond. This covers nutritional issues during and after cancer treatment, including reducing side effects. It also discusses the benefits of physical activity. Also from the National Cancer Institute, Taking Time discusses the many emotions that come with having cancer, as well as how to communicate with others. This can also be helpful for family and friends to read.
As the healthcare providers, I really encourage you to take this home, look through it, see what parts really speak to you, find out what you like the best about it. It's something that they're going to utilize throughout their treatment and probably look back at after they're done with treatment.
Dawn uses the bag still to document sometimes when I'm having, what type of food I'm eating, when I have problems, how long they last and things like that. It's such a valuable tool that has given us the ability to keep going.
It makes me feel good inside that I'm giving something to the patients that they can use as a resource to not only help themselves, but their family can also use it to help the patients.
When I give the bag out, I almost always have at least one family member with the patient. Depending on what's going on, one might be more interested in it than the other, especially patients that maybe one is a Spanish speaker and one's an English speaker. I might give them one of each.
If you're not sure if a patient would prefer a bag in English or Spanish, just ask them. They are much more likely to use the bag if it is in a language they are most comfortable with.
Even though in my clinic I do have certified translators, it actually helps my patients to trust me a little bit better, because while I'm giving them information in Spanish, I can show it to them and I can read along in English with my Baguette book and show it to them in the Spanish translation. They get more comfort, and then they're more trusting when they're coming for more appointments and coming for more chemotherapy infusions. And I think it just builds that therapeutic relationship.
Here's a few last tips. Encourage your patients to fill out the feedback form found in the front of my companion guidebook after they've had a chance to use the bag for a while. Please feel free to contact us with any questions or suggestions, or if you need to place an order for additional bags. We personally want to thank you for providing this valuable resource to your patients and their families.